For the longest time, I have had so many viewers request that I review every Fireman Sam movie. Do you guys want me to suffer? Is that what you really want? Jokes aside, I've been wanting to talk about all of these movies for about a year and a half now. You see, the Fireman Sam movies have a reputation for being, well, awful, but there's actually some good stuff to find in them, surprisingly. But mainly just my boy Arnold. After sitting down and watching all of these movies, I have so much I want to say about them. Ranking all of these is going to be a challenge, since these movies are all over the place in terms of writing, animation, and direction. But it's a challenge I'm willing to take on. Before we start, I want to quickly go over the production history of Fireman Sam, just for the sake of context for the ranking, and since the quality of these movies varies drastically based on what era it was produced in. I'll probably go more in depth in future videos, but here's the Cliff Notes version. So the idea for Fireman Sam was created by Dave Gingle and David Jones, who were two former firemen from London and Clerkenwell. In 1985, they brought their idea to Mike Young, a producer of the Welsh show Super Ted. Mike introduced them to Rob Lee, an artist at his company. He would help develop Fireman Sam, creating Pontypandy and the character designs in the show, and over a 2-year period would help create the TV show, produced by S4C, or Welsh Channel 4, and animated by Bumper Films, and narrated by John Alderton. Series 1 came out in 1987, Series 2 came out in 1988, Series 3 came out in 1990, and the last classic series came out in 1994. Now interestingly, Fireman Sam's production history also ties in quite a bit with Thomas's history. So the Brit Allcraft Company produced 5 seasons of Thomas. However, after Thomas and the Magic Railroad underperformed at the box office, Brit Allcraft would step down as chairwoman, and the company would be rebranded to Ghislaine Entertainment. There was a definite shift in the company at this time, as they started to put their eggs into other baskets than just Thomas. They started developing a Thomas spin-off about road vehicles, they tried to purchase the Cookie Jar Group but it fell through, and they also purchased 50% of Fireman Sam shares from S4C and Bumper Films, with plans of developing a 5th series of Fireman Sam together. However, only a few months later, Hit Entertainment then purchased Ghislaine, making them the owners of Thomas and co-owners of Fireman Sam. Series 5 of Sam came out in 2003 and was kind of like a soft reboot. Sam was now voiced by John Sparks.
That gives us a whole hour before naughty Norman Price is back on the streets. Put the kettle on!
Who you may know as the Peppa Pig narrator.
Peppa loves jumping up and down in muddy puddles. Everyone loves jumping up and down in muddy puddles.
The animation in Series 5 was such an upgrade. It was more fluid and was way less janky than the original series. However, this would be the only hit model series, as in 2007, S4C sold the other 50% of Fireman Sam's shares to Hit Entertainment, making them the full owners. Series 6 came out in 2008 and was now fully CGI animated, going from the best animation in the series to the worst animation in the series. For some reason, Hit Entertainment got the dirtiest of dirt cheap companies, Zing Zing Animation, to animate the show, with Steve Kyman becoming the voice of CGI Sam, while Andrew Brenner himself, yes, the Andrew Brenner, became head writer, but only for Series 6. 2008 was also when Thomas started using CGI. Hit clearly wanted to produce these shows cheaper, favouring CGI over a model production. In a way, Fireman Sam and Thomas kind of became sister shows. Not sister shows in the same way Tugs and Thomas was, or the way Joshua Jones and Fireman Sam were sister shows, but rather they were sister shows in the sense that they were owned by the same company now, and both shows had similar brand trajectories, because of Hit Entertainment being the parent company. Series 7 came out in 2009, with David Ingram becoming head writer. He also wrote the first Fireman Sam special, The Great Fire of Pontypandy. Series 8 came out in 2012, with Paul Larson and Laura Beaumont becoming head writers for the rest of the series. Also in 2012, Mattel purchased Hit Entertainment, making them the owners of Thomas and Fireman Sam, and Series 9 came out in 2014. Heroes of the Storm was the next special, and it was written by Paul and Laura. It was released in the US first in 2014, being retitled Fireman Sam Ultimate Heroes, while the UK dub was released in 2015, where the fire station got an upgrade and new firefighters Ellie and Arnold joined the team. Series 10 of Fireman Sam came out in 2016. The special Alien Alert also came out this year. This was the last season animated by Zing Zing before being fired after their controversy. You see, in Series 9's Troubled Waters, there was a scene where Elvis comes in and trips over some paper, and one of the Zing Zing animators snuck in a page from the Quran falling to the floor. For those who don't know, the Quran is the sacred holy book of Islam, and this was a really insensitive joke to Muslims. Now, I need to be very clear here. Hit Entertainment and the Fireman Sam production crew had nothing to do with this joke. It was just some racist Chinese animator from Zing Zing who snuck it in. It was discovered 2 years later in 2016, and the animation company was fired because of it. And of course, the scene was later censored with a blank piece of paper for all future releases. DHX Media, later rebranded to WildBrain, took over animating for the series, and their animation was so much better. Also, according to one of the animators from WildBrain, who I won't name, the CGI models from Zing Zing were so bad and broken that they had to spend months working on them just to make them usable for the show. Series 11 came out in 2017. The next movie was set for action and was originally written as a finale for Fireman Sam. However, Sam would return with new music and new police characters, along with the next special, Norman Price and the Mystery in the Sky. Series 13 came out in 2021. Series 14 came out in 2022, where the show changed the intro to not mention Sam for some reason.
And they hear that fire alarm. The rescue team stays cool and calm.
Ooh, why? Series 15 came out in 2023, Series 16 came out in 2024, and the season also has the special, the Pontypandy Big Show, which is kinda like the Marvellous Machinery of Fireman Sam, where it was like 6 episodes loosely tied together to create one big movie, although I won't be covering it as it's just some episodes. And at the time of recording is the finale to the Fireman Sam series. So now that you know the production history of Fireman Sam, let's get into the ranking of the movies itself, starting with the first movie, The Great Fire of Pontypandy.
Great fires of London! Hang in there, Charlie!
Out of all of the Fireman Sam movies, I think this is the one that most of the Fireman Sam fandom will be familiar with, since this was the first Fireman Sam movie made. Before I even review it, I need to address the animation because oh my god, this movie easily has the worst animation. It was done by Zing Zing, so of course it looks awful, but I'm going to try focus more on the story rather than the animation, since there's only so many ways I can say that it looks bad. So after Fireman Sam saves his brother from the lighthouse, he is rewarded for his bravery, and a new character called Chief Fire Officer Boyce secretly offers Jam a job promotion in Newtown, meaning Sam would have to move away, leaving Pontypandy behind. However, after Norman sets fire to the forest, the dry weather causes one of the biggest fires Pontypandy has ever seen. It's now up to the rescue team to try put it out, but the fire becomes so big, all the residents have to evacuate Pontypandy. Now, while the plot is pretty simple, I still think this was a good story for the first Fireman Sam movie, as you have all the standard tropes of a Fireman Sam episode. It kind of feels like a CGI episode adapted into a movie, having the biggest fire Pontypandy has ever seen. The later movies try to do different plots, but this one feels like your standard Fireman Sam story. Because of the era it's from, the pacing is also a lot slower compared to the later movies, which is kind of cool. However, I feel like it really drags in the middle. The opening set piece is great. We cut straight into the action before jumping into the intro. We also get an extended version of the intro, which is great, because we didn't have that before. This formula is pretty much used for every Fireman Sam movie afterwards, going from our inciting incident to the movie intro and song. I love how Sam's first line in the movie is his old catchphrase, "Great fires of London."
Great fires of London! Hang in there, Charlie!
This is the only time he ever says it in the CGI era, and that's really cool. My main problem with the movie, besides the animation, is the fact that the middle chunk of the movie is so boring and goes on for so long. The most interesting stuff in the movie is the stuff with the firemen. Sam leaving Pontypandy behind, Elvis wanting to be a hero like Sam, and putting out one of the biggest fire ever is the interesting stuff. But all the stuff with Norman, Dillis, and Trevor is so boring. They're just wandering around the woods for 30 minutes, and you're just waiting for the fire to start. There's also another boring B-plot with Mike Flood, where he tries to repair the lighthouse. He goes up the lighthouse, forgets something, comes back down, forgets something, goes back up, forgets something, and then comes back down again. It's so boring and redundant. There's also another B-plot with Mandy, and how she feels her dad doesn't have enough time for her. But we don't even really get a scene with her and her dad until the end of the movie. I feel like Mike and Mandy should have had at least one scene at the start of the movie to establish this. It's not until like 40 minutes into the film where it actually starts to get kinda good. No, really, I'm serious. As soon as the fire starts, the tone of the movie shifts and it actually becomes really interesting. The last 20 minutes is probably the best thing to come out of the really early CGI era of Fireman Sam. We get to see the town folk help out, Elvis saves Sam from freaking dying, and this is the only time in the series where the fire crew literally couldn't put out the fire and they had to evacuate. The tone and the music with the church bells in the background and everyone leaving the town is so cool. Like, Pontypandy is cut off and all the other fire engines in Newtown aren't able to rescue them. And the way they say goodbye to the fire station, like damn, they actually kind of idea went there. And I think every Fireman Sam hater on Earth loves the scene where Steele is like, "Oh, Norman Price, you've done it this time."
Norman Price, you've done it this time!
I'm sure that scene was cathartic for a lot of people. It's just a shame that the way they put out the fire is kind of an anticlimax. How they put out the fire is that it rains. No, really, I'm serious. Like, they play the rescue team over it raining and everything. Really? That's the conclusion? The rain puts out the fire? Now, I don't totally hate an act of God just putting out the fire. Like, rain can often be symbolic of movies of cleansing and renewal, but still, it just feels like a bit of a cop-out ending. Although they did foreshadow it quite a few times in the movie, like how Mike installs a wind turbine at the start of the movie, and then at the end, that's what tells Sam that the storm is coming. There's actually lots of little setups and payoffs in the movie. Elvis wanting to get a medal like Sam for being brave, and he later saves Sam, and is given a reward at the end of the film, paralleling the start of the movie. We also get to see him guide the people out of the forest, and he was honestly a highlight. There's this really sweet scene where we hear Steele getting his medal.
This medal goes to young Fireman Steele.
And we learn how he could have been fire chief, but he stayed in Pontypandy, which is similar to what Sam does at the end of the movie. So there is still some good stuff in the movie. It just takes a really long time to get to it. It's weird how the fire actually relates back to Sam's arc in the film. Because of the fire, he almost lost Pontypandy, and it made him realize that his home is here and not in Newtown. I like that. Also, what is up with that song at the end? It's all about how Pontypandy is the safest place I know.
It's the safest place I know. Pontypandy by the sea.
How? How is Pontypandy the safest place you know? This is the most accident-prone and dangerous town in all of Wales. What are you talking about? It's the safest place I know. Pontypandy by the sea. Like, what? Also, what is Boyce's deal here? Like, he was trying to take Sam away from Pontypandy without asking any of the other characters. Why would you do that, Boyce? Never mind Norman Price. I think this guy might be the real villain of the movie. Overall, the animation is bad, the movie is mostly very boring, but there is still some stuff to like about it. On to the next film.
A four-wheel drive, longitudinal, front-engine, six-cylinder, high-compression, turbo diesel.
I think Heroes of the Storm was a significant improvement over Great Fire of Pontypandy. Unlike that movie, where a lot of the plots feel like they could be in a regular episode of Fireman Sam, this movie's plot actually feels movie-worthy. You know, stuff like adding new characters, changing the fire station, getting new vehicles, not to mention the storm itself. It actually feels like a movie. Tonally, it's very different to the other movie, because the whole thing takes place during a big storm. So, when the fire station becomes run down, Fire Officer Boyce decides to close it down. Again, what is your problem, Boyce? Not only did he try to take Fireman Sam away from Pontypandy, but he's also the reason the classic fire station is destroyed? Like, seriously, what is wrong with you? Anyway, so a new fire station is built, and two new firefighters come to Pontypandy, Ellie and Arnold, who are great additions to the show. I feel like the old Sam, Elvis, and Penny dynamic of the series had become so played out by Series 9. Arnold and Ellie add such a new dimension to the show. Penny now has another girl she can talk to, which is nice.
It's so great to have another girl on the team, Ellie.
And while Ellie doesn't do that much in the movie, in the show, I think she's a great character. She's very sassy.
And when we get there, don't just grab a floppy shovel and try to get on telly again.
She's actually very interesting in the actual show itself, but in the movie, she's kind of dull. And you guys already know how much I love my boy Arnold. Arnold is such a nerd. He knows all about space, he obsesses with the fire engine, he has Thomas's voice and face. My boy is so autistic coded, and I love it. Arnold, more like our nerd. As I said in my Arnold video, this feels like a transitional movie. It's the final time we see the old fire station, and it's the last time they use the fax machine before we get the new computer. It's the last time we see the old fire logo before it's changed, and it's our first time seeing Arnold and Ellie. Now, I've said this before, but I honestly don't hate the new fire station. The building is genuinely very well designed. Like, compare it to Da Vinci's golden ratio, which is something architects use to test building beauty. It's very symmetrical. I like how modern it looks as well, but I hate the updates they did for it in Series 16 though. That was an actual bad update. Like, seriously, it looks like a Paw Patrol playset. Whereas this update actually feels like a modern fire station from 2014. There's also quite a few callbacks here as well. They keep the old fire bell on static display, they have the original Series 1 to 4 fire station on the wall, they have the Series 5 photo, which was also in the old CGI fire station, there's the newspaper of young Steele from the Great Fire of Pontypandy, and there's the golden helmet, which belonged to Steele's grandfather, Daniel Steele. I like that. Thanks, Paul and Laura. They also set up 2 new fire vehicles,
There's even room for 2 more.
getting Hydrus at the end of the movie and Phoenix in the very next episode. There's quite a few setups and payoffs in the movie. They set up Norman looking for gold, which he gets later, and is a real thing that happens in Wales. Trevor's bus crashes at the start of the movie, and he gets a new bus by the end. Also, why does stuff keep happening to Trevor's bus in this movie? His bus gets destroyed like 3 times. They set up the gas canisters at the start of the movie, and then they come back way later at the end of the film. They set up the new hose outlets on the fire station, which Sam uses at the end to put out the big fire. They set up how Arnold wouldn't want to be in a rescue situation with Elvis,
I wouldn't want to be in an emergency situation with him.
but later it's Elvis who actually saves Arnold, and Arnold later respects Elvis, which is so sweet. They're one of my favorite dynamics in the whole show. Now, I do still have my problems with this movie. The B-plot with Moose and Tom Thomas was honestly really bad, even if it did pay off in the end. And the climax was kinda dumb. Like, oh no, the fire is spreading and it's going to touch the gas canisters.
It's spreading towards those gas canisters.
What are we gonna do? But like, they're gas canisters. You could just move them. There's only like 5 or 6 of them. It wouldn't take that long. You could just pick them up and take them away from the fire. What's stopping you from just moving them? But whatever. I do really love how the movie ends though. We get this nice, calm, after the storm vibe, where things return back to normal. They do this really cool unbroken shot of the new fire station where it pans down and we get to see all the fire crew working. This one long take shot is so awesome. I love how Sam pats Mercury here, and I like how Arnold names the new vehicle. It's a group of stars and it means water snake. I love how the camera pans up at the end, and the song at the end also kind of goes pretty hard. Now, for some weird reason, the movie was released in the US a year early and was retitled to Fireman Sam Ultimate Heroes instead of just Heroes of the Storm. Why? They didn't do this with any of the other movies, and because of the title change, the songs are different in each dub.
Danger, danger everywhere. Tell me, who are you going to call? Well, it's Fireman Sam and his team of friends. They're the heroes of the storm. Well, there's danger, danger everywhere, and there's nowhere left to go. Call up Fireman Sam and his team of friends. They're the ultimate heroes.
It's so weird. Why? They changed so many things in the US dub of the show too, like swapping tea with coffee.
Cridlington, how about a nice cup of tea? Cridlington, how about a cup of coffee?
And oh my god, Arnold's voice in the US dub sounds so dead inside.
I'm looking forward to learning from the best. Fireman Sam.
That's not my boy. Why did you voice him that way, Adam? Oh, of course his name is Adam. US Arnold should sound like Joseph May. He shouldn't sound like this.
Well, I didn't really do anything.
Bro, Adam, how do you screw up Arnold's voice? It's meant to sound like, well, I didn't really do anything. Not, well, I didn't really do anything.
Well, I didn't really do anything.
Well, I didn't really do anything.
In fact, in one of the Arnold US lines, you can hear John Hassler at the end of the sentence do the tuh.
That's really clever.
It's only a built-in intelligent assistant high-speed processor that speaks natural language voice commands.
That is really awesome.
It's only a built-in intelligent assistant high-speed processor that speaks natural language voice commands.
Did you forget to say the tuh at the end of the sentence, Adam? US dub aside, I actually think this movie was better than Great Fire of Pontypandy. I wonder if the next movie will be any good.
There's been a lot of alien sightings in a little town called Pontypandy.
I don't even know where to begin with Alien Alert. 40% of this movie is just them wandering around the woods looking for aliens, and you're just waiting for something to happen. The plot of the movie is that when aliens are spotted in Pontypandy, a TV personality called Buck Douglas, star of Alien Quest, comes to investigate, and all of the characters in Pontypandy just go looking for aliens. The only saving grace is David Tennant. Yeah, Ian McHugh somehow managed to get the 10th and 14th Doctor in this thing.
When we first saw the script for Alien Alert and knew who we wanted to play him, and of course it was David Tennant.
I think that was a smart choice on Ian's part, because we associate Doctor Who with aliens, so getting a guest star like that was a good decision. I like the use of the electronic synthesizer and the intro music. It sounds very alien, very Doctor Who sounding, I love it. But seriously though, why does David Tennant keep showing up in things I review? Get out of here, Wilf! So I think this movie's ultimate problem is that the premise of the movie has nothing to do with firemen. Like, seriously, what is the correlation between aliens and firemen? Like, they only put out 2 fires in the whole movie. Other than Sam, Elvis, and maybe Tom Thomas, none of the other firemen do anything. Steele does nothing, Penny does nothing, Ellie does nothing, and Arnold does absolutely nothing. Well, besides showing off the new uniform.
Work it, Arnold!
Yeah, work it, Arnold. Oh yeah, he also operates Jupiter's tank.
Not much water left in the tank.
Did Arnold just say tank?
Not much water left in the tank.
And I guess he nerds out over the new Wallaby 2.
And she has a comprehensive avionics suite, a multi-band homing system, and a high-capacity water vessel.
But that's it. I don't often talk about how they advertise toys in these movies, but with Wallaby 2, it is so obvious that they're just trying to push the new toy. Wallaby 2 is on the poster, we get these big long shots turning around to see the new toy, and the only reason the fire starts at the rescue center is so they can show off how the new toy works.
Welcome to the team, Wallaby 2.
There's a pointless rescue drill in the middle of the film to show off the new toy, and they even use it in the film's climax. Oh, don't you worry, I'll get to that. Honestly, the best stuff in the movie is the new rescue center. I think it's a significant upgrade to the old CGI one, which looked just terrible. And I will admit, the new Wallaby 2 is also a better upgrade to Wallaby 1. It actually looks a lot closer to a real-life rescue helicopter. And I like how personnel can fit in the back as well. But the problem is none of this ties in with the plot of the movie. Like, in Heroes of the Storm, the new fire station is central to the story. All of the new characters and all of the new vehicles tie into the new fire station. In the Norman Price movie, they introduced the police station, and the plot revolves around the police trying to solve a mystery. And that's where the villains end up at the end. Whereas this movie, sure, they use the helicopter a few times, but what does aliens have to do with any of this? There's a B-plot with Norman and the kids that goes nowhere. They're just wandering around in the forest looking for aliens. He falls down a cliff and nearly kills Sarah. Like, he actually breaks her arm.
I think I've broken my arm.
Although I will admit, there is a sweet scene where he gives Sarah his coat. Aw, that's kind of sweet. That kind of makes up for him literally breaking her arm. You literally put her in a stretcher, Norman. There's also a C-plot with Bella and Joe trying to deliver pizzas by drone. And the only reason it exists is so that Norman can figure out that the aliens use the same batteries, I think. Bella, why would you send your pizzas by drone to Dillis's? Your cafe is right across the road. It's right there, I can see it. Just walk across the street like a normal person, Bella. Oh yeah, they also give Elvis a song in the middle of the movie for some reason, which to be fair, was actually foreshadowed.
I'm going to write a special song all about aliens.
But Steve Kindman has to sing it in the Elvis voice, and it's terrible.
Strange things are happening all over the place. Flying saucers coming down from outer space.
Strange things are happening all over the place. Flying saucers coming down from outer space. And yet, this isn't even the worst version. The US one is somehow worse.
My oh my, there's lights in the sky.
Oh god, make it stop. Although I will admit, the French version surprisingly goes really hard for some reason. The movie has been bad up to this point, but this is where it literally turns into Misty Island. No, really, I'm not kidding. So for some reason, the kids decide to go over to some random island near Pontypandy, so they just steal some boats and row over there with no adult supervision. Then on the island, they meet Mike there. Oh yeah, I forgot. There's a D-plot with Mike looking for aliens. Again, none of Mike's scenes add anything to the film. So why was he even there? What did he contribute to the story? We don't even see how Mike got to the island. He's just there now. It would have made more sense if Mike and the kids went together, you know, like maybe he's like an adult to supervise them or something, but no. Oh, but then for some reason Norman also wants to go to the island? Why, Paul and Laura? Why? Oh, and the alien also happens to be here too? How convenient. Then the alien shoots a giant laser beam into the sky. Okay, plot-wise, wouldn't it have made more sense for the alien to shoot the laser beam into the sky first, and that's why all the characters want to go to the island? Wouldn't that have made more sense? So anyway, Norman spooks the alien and he accidentally sets the whole island on fire. So wait, how did the fire start? The alien just drops some petrol and it somehow engulfs the entire island in 2 minutes? This plot literally makes no sense. So anyway, Fireman Sam is then called out to put out the fire on the island. Oh yeah, Fireman Sam's in this movie. I nearly forgot. Also, where are Ellie and Arnold right now? Like, really? The whole island is on fire and you send just Sam, Penny, and Elvis, but not Arnold and Ellie? Why? But then, uh-oh, there's people on the island, so Tom Thomas can't drop any water on it. Okay, pause the movie for a second. So let's say you're Sam in this situation right now. What do? Do you A, take the rescue boats over to the island, get everyone off the island, and then have Tom Thomas drop the water? Do you B, fly firemen over to the island, have them put out the fire on the ground, like they do in a later episode of the show? Or do you C, get the kids off the island and just let the fire burn out because it's contained on an island and won't spread? But no, instead of doing any of that logical stuff, Sam decides the most logical thing to do in this situation is attach Venus, a fire tender which weighs 12 to 18 metric tons, to a helicopter and has it flown to the island.
What?
Yes, James A. Williams, I agree. What indeed? Really? Really? Did any of the writers or any of the producers or even the fire consultant not stop for a minute and say, hey, wait a minute, this is a terrible idea? This is literally the moment that Fireman Sam jumped the shark, in my opinion. Not only is Sam putting his and Tom Thomas's life at risk here, but he's also risking the lives of the kids. He literally almost drowns here. Like, what would have happened if Sam went into the sea? Not only would Sam and Tom have died, but everyone on the island would have burnt to a crisp. Rule 1 of being a fireman is that you don't cause more risk than you have to. Sam, you have not 1, but 3 boats. You have Juno, you have Neptune, you have Titan. Why are you doing this? This literally makes no sense. Fireman Sam the show is all about safety and making sure people's lives aren't at risk. This literally goes against the morality of the show. Why, Paul and Laura? Why? I mean, to be fair, they did foreshadow it earlier with Penny's line here about dropping water, but still, this is really dumb even by CGI Fireman Sam standards. So anyway, Sam gets to the island and he puts out the fire like he's in a video game. And then they reveal that the alien is David Tennant! Oh my goodness, how shocking. So in this Scooby-Doo ending, we get the greatest reveal in all of cinema. And he would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for those meddling kids. Oh, and that little ginger arsonist. This is the most obvious twist ever. Like, who else was it gonna be? Is it Moose Roberts? Is it Arnold McKinley? Is it Bronwyn Jones? No, it's obviously David Tennant. Because what other character would it have been? The director? The reason Flex Dexter or Baz and Bernie or Professor Polonium worked is that they were always villains from the start and were more entertaining to watch. But because this very obvious twist is at the end of the movie, we don't get any time with David Tennant as a villain. Also, this twist just creates more questions. Why did David Tennant set fire to the forest the first time? The other time Norman spooked him and that's what started the fire. So what caused the first one? Why did Sam find a sausage and then look at it on his computer? What the hell was that about? They gave Helen a new ambulance, but that never came back. I mean, they could have used it when Sarah broke her arm, but no. I haven't even finished all of the problems with this movie, but at this point, I'm just listing stuff. This film is so broken, it might be the worst Fireman Sam film ever. I don't think you could even fix it. The biggest problem, besides all the problems I just listed, is that the concept of aliens and firemen just don't go well together. They should have figured out a better plot revolving around the new helicopter, or the new rescue center, or the new ambulance, instead of just doing this. That's it. I'm done. I'm moving on to the next movie. Make sure to check out the Trying to Watch Alien Alert coming eventually.
Joke, man.
Also, special thanks to James A. Williams for recording his little cameo. On to Set for Action.
He's going to save the day.
Unlike Alien Alert, I think Set for Action has a lot more going for it. The plot is about safety on a movie set, and right away, that sounds like a much better plot for Fireman Sam than Aliens. I've already done a Trying to Watch on this, but I haven't given my proper thoughts on it. So, when movie director Kerry Shale comes to Pontypandy, get me Firefighter Sam!
Get me Firefighter Sam!
Flex Dexter feels inferior to Sam and tries to freaking murder him on set. Jesus Christ, okay. And when a stunt goes wrong, Fireman Sam becomes Fireman Sam, only for him to return and save the day.
He's going to save the day.
The intro song also goes really hard. It's like a parody of a James Bond intro, only with Dillis dancing instead of Bond girls. Even the editing is really bad. Like, they have stock footage flames, and stock footage from the show, and even a glitch in the zoom on Sam here, but at least the song's good. This was the first movie animated by Wildbrain, and you can tell because the animation quality is significantly better than any of the other films. What's interesting is the movie was originally written as a finale to Sam. It was meant to end here, but the show got picked up again and kept going. It's kind of like the Journey Beyond Sodor of Fireman Sam, where it should have stopped here, but the show just kept going. This was the last movie to have music composed by David Pickavants, who did the music between series 6 to 11. David kept a lot of the iconic themes, like the rescue theme and many other great music. Seriously, listen to some of his Fireman Sam music, it's very underrated. And this is the last movie to have those iconic themes. Series 12 onwards got new composers for the music and it just wasn't the same. I really like the structure of the movie as well. The opening sequence where Sam is a badass perfectly leads into Kerry Shale coming to Pontypandy, which leads into Sam working for the film. I honestly think Paul and Laura put a bit more effort into this one, because at the time of writing, they thought it was going to be the last film. They do stuff like making fun of Norman's voice being annoying, they parody a lot of the Fireman Sam tropes, and even call back to the original series. But I think the thing I like most is Sam's character. It's the only time in the series where we ever see him not as a fireman. After he gets fired by Boyce. Also, what the hell, Boyce? First you try to take Sam away from Pontypandy, then you destroy the original fire station, then you force Sam against his will to be in this movie, which he doesn't want to be in.
What?
And then you fire him after everything he's done, and not someone like Elvis? Seriously, what is your problem, Boyce? I love that the first thing Sam does when he gets fired is gardening, because in the classic series, Sam used to love gardening, but they kind of forgot about that in the CGI era. So that was a cool callback. The Jupiter toy is also a callback to a Series 10 episode, where Sam is gifted it by the people of Pontypandy on his birthday. That's a really sweet callback as well. We get a whole montage of how important the crew are to Fireman Sam. They even call back to the original model series of Sam too.
Ever since we were children, and we used to watch that old Fireman show on television.
I love this because many real-life firemen were inspired to become firemen because of watching Fireman Sam as a child. Not to mention the show has literally saved children's lives over the years. I remember one story of a boy who saved his unconscious mother after seeing something that he'd seen in Fireman Sam. So I really do think this line is a lovely tribute to the legacy of Fireman Sam. Sam's character is so strong here. Even though he got fired from his job, the moment he sees the explosion, he runs right over to help. Again, Sam was fired. He didn't have to do this, but he did it because it was the right thing to do. I also love Arnold's line here.
He's going to save the day.
Which is a callback to the Fireman Sam intro.
He's going to save the day.
We get to see Sam bond with James and he thanks him for telling Steele what happened. It's so sweet. I love all the roles the firemen get at the end as well. We get to see Ellie and Penny team up to rescue the girls. I like how Elvis and Sam team up together, and Arnold even gets to do something. Even though he doesn't speak, but whatever. He just nods his head. We get to see Ben go out on a rescue boat. We get to see Tom Thomas help with the helicopter, and even Steele gets to operate the BCE tablet. And the fact that Sam went into a burning building to rescue Flex, even though Flex got him fired, and Sam didn't have any obligation as he no longer had a job, but he still went in there because it was the right thing to do. That's great because that's what being a fireman is all about. It's about saving lives, whether you want to save them or not. It's got a much better morality than Alien Alert, where Sam actively risks the lives of other people. On a more serious note, the movie is dedicated to Joy Andrews. Joy was the wife of Fireman Sam director Andrew, and she had actually worked on Fireman Sam herself. After losing his wife to illness, Gary would go on to raise his two daughters by himself, and would even draw his whole experience as a way of coping with his loss. It's so beautifully drawn, and every time I watch this video I can't help but cry. It's so beautiful, and it's a lovely tribute to Joy. Overall, Set for Action definitely has its problems. This is still a Paul and Laura script after all, but man, when this movie gets it right, it really gets it right. Also, I love the Pixar bloopers at the end. They are amazing and feel very inspired. I love where Steele breaks the fort wall when he mentions the Great Fire of Pontypandy.
This is the biggest fire there's ever been in Pontypandy. Since the Great Fire of Pontypandy 3 specials ago.
Oh, how I wish Fireman Sam had ended here.
So, Norman Man returns. It's been a while.
Norman Price and the Mystery in the Sky doesn't even feel like a real Fireman Sam movie to me. First off, what the hell is that title? The title is Fireman Sam Presents Norman Price and the Mystery in the Sky. Why is it so long and clunky? Say what you will about Alien Alert or Set for Action, but at least those had good titles. In a behind the scenes thing, you can see the working title was called The Rise of Norman Man, which makes way more sense. Why didn't they stick with that? So the plot is that Professor Polonium and Crompton want money or something? I don't know. It's very unclear what they want. So they go flying around Pontypandy in a giant metal man suit to save the day, I think? They see Discord mod posted on Twitter Twitter about his new canister, so they go steal it from him. Joe, if you don't want your canister stolen, why would you post about it on Twitter? Oh yeah, we also see Buck Douglas has posted a review on one of the websites. So wait, does that mean that Buck Douglas never went to prison? So what, he was just allowed to go free? I mean, I guess it makes sense because the police didn't exist at that point. But they just let him go? What? Honestly, the police would have made more sense in Alien Alert, but whatever. Also, they introduced the police station, and they tried to investigate all of this, but then Norman takes the suit, and so the villains decide to get another suit and become an arch-villain for Norman, I think? As I said, this doesn't even feel like a Fireman Sam movie anymore. This plot is just all over the place. I do like how the movie is focused on Norman Price, though. Since Sam already had his character arc in the last movie, I actually like what they did with Norman here. It's honestly refreshing to see Norman not be a little brat. Instead, he actually wants to be a hero, and he's the one who saves the day. It's satisfying to see him grow up. Fireman Sam, on the other hand, barely has anything to do in the movie. In fact, there's a good 30-minute chunk in the middle of the film where he just doesn't appear at all. I really wish that they had given the fireman more to do in the movie. Although one thing I love is Sam's dynamic with Norman. The ending scene with Norman and Sam is so lovely, where Sam tells Norman what it really means to be a hero.
It's not what we wear that makes us a hero, Norman. It's what's in here.
It's so sweet because their dynamic is ultimately what the show is all about, but sadly, we only get like 2 scenes with them in a whole film. I so wish the movie was more focused on their relationship, but no. Instead, we get this ridiculous plot about flying robots. It's so bad. Penny also doesn't do anything in the movie, yet for some reason she's front and center on the poster and she's in the intro. Why her and not Sergeant Rivani? Wasn't Sergeant Rivani way more relevant in the film than Penny? Besides using Venus the Sam-mobile, and being in the climax, she really didn't add anything to the film. We needed a better B-plot with the firemen so badly. Besides putting out a few fires and doing some rescues, they really didn't do anything with them. Although I will admit, I do love the scene with Arnold and Elvis creating the Sam-mobile. I just wish my boy had more to do in the film. I think I forgot to mention this in the Arnold video because I just blocked this movie out of my head. The ending of the film literally becomes a video game, where they just have to put out fires in Pontypandy like it's a checklist. There are definitely funny bits here and there in the movie, but overall, this just doesn't feel like a Fireman Sam movie to me, especially with the music. Like, it's not bad, it's just very generic music, and doesn't have the punch of the David Pickavance music from the earlier movies. As I said, I just wish the movie was more focused on Norman and Sam's relationship. But yeah, I don't really have that much else to say about it, honestly, other than it's bad. So yeah, those were all the Fireman Sam movies reviewed. But we still have one more film to talk about.
Marvellous Machinery! Marvellous Machinery!
Now I'm sure you're wondering, Adam, why are you talking about Marvellous Machinery in a Fireman Sam video? Well, you see, after watching all of these movies and coming back to Marvellous Machinery, I realized that this special is just another Fireman Sam script. No, really, I'm not kidding. So Paul and Laura wrote for series 17 and 18 of Thomas. They wrote some fan favorite episodes, and they also wrote some of the worst episodes that fans don't like. But then after that, they mostly stuck to writing Fireman Sam. But then in series 24 of Thomas, they came back and wrote the most Fireman Sam-esque script I have ever seen. These two somehow wrote Calling All Engines and Marvellous Machinery. How is that even possible? After spending so much time away writing Fireman Sam and then coming back to Thomas, gives this movie such a weird Fireman Sam vibe to me. There are so many Paul and Laura tropes in this film, it's crazy. They have a giant metal dancing robot? Really? They wrote the Fireman Sam robot movie and the Thomas the Tank Engine robot movie in the same year? They have flying cars in the movie? Where have I seen that before? They have jetpacks in the movie? Oh, I wonder where they got that idea from. Seriously, rewatch Marvellous Machinery with that context and you'll suddenly realize what I'm talking about. Even the new characters in the film feel like Fireman Sam characters. Baz and Bernie, or as I like to call them, Baz and Bernie, are the villains. And they are literally just Professor Polonium and Crompton all over again. There's the smart leader one, and there's the smaller oafish one. And both are motivated by money.
New inventions can make people lots of money.
Super Rescue Suit will be one of the greatest inventions ever made. I will be a billionaire.
So the movie starts out with Train Engine Arnold, where he sees a flying car, and so he just abandons his work to go look at it. And throughout the whole movie, Train Engine Arnold is asking about the technology and is really interested in all the new gadgets. Even the way the characters are written just feels so off to me.
Electric engine, my funnel.
There's so much of that haha funny Fireman Sam humor in the special. Now, when I first watched the film, one of the things I actually kind of liked about it was how it was more focused on the human characters, because that wasn't really something CGI Thomas did, until I realized the reason the humans speak so much is because that's just what Paul and Laura are used to writing for Fireman Sam. All the dumb guy jokes with Bernie are so reminiscent of the dumb guy jokes they write for Elvis. There's a scene where Baz and Bernie break the robot remote and it goes haywire, and it feels like it's lifted right out of a Fireman Sam script. I mean, hey, at least they let Train Engine Arnold do a rescue with the robot. It took Paul and Laura writing for Thomas, but at least Arnold is finally doing something. Hooray! They even mention the airport in the film, despite it not being in the CGI era. I mean, hey, it's kind of cool that Paul and Laura remembered that they wrote Calling All Engines. Now, obviously, I'm joking a bit here with what I'm saying, but it's still just funny to me seeing all these Fireman Sam tropes in Thomas and Friends. It weirdly makes the movie more understandable once you realize that. However, there is one part of this episode that isn't ripped off from Fireman Sam. There's a scene in the special where the mighty magnet attaches itself to Gordon and he becomes magnetic, and all the metal attaches itself to Gordon. Now, this is actually taken from a different show. So there's an episode of Jim Henson's construction site where Carrie the forklift becomes magnetic and all of the metal attaches around her. And they even sing a song about it.
They're all out of action, magnetic attraction. They're all stuck together, a new interaction.
And I know for a fact that they stole this from that episode because it was written by Paul Larson. He literally reused this from Construction Site and didn't think we'd notice. Well, I noticed, Paul. I noticed. And yeah, that was every Fireman Sam movie reviewed. If I were to rank these movies, I'd probably say Alien Alert is the worst, then maybe Norman Price and the Mystery in the Sky, although that is also a contender for the worst. Then I'd probably rank Marvellous Machinery after that, since that's basically the same movie, but I think I rank that one slightly higher since it has Train Engine Arnold in it. After that, I'd rank The Great Fire of Pontypandy, then Heroes of the Storm, and the best one is surprisingly Set for Action, just because I think the stuff they do with Sam in that one is actually kind of interesting. But yeah, let me know your ranking of these movies in the comments, and I'll see you all in the next one. Slán Abhaile.